uncanny precision was part of Turner's great genius. I don't have that kind of gift, I'm afraid. I'm merely a talented amateur who paints for pleasure. Nonetheless, there are times when I wish I could recreate a Connecticut sky in one of my paintings. Get it right just once, and this morning was one of those times. But I knew deep down that I would never be capable of doing it. After lingering for a few minutes longer on the terrace outside the sunroom, I turned and walked around the house, heading for the back. Heavy dew clung to the grass, and I lifted my nightgown and robe as I walked across the lawns, not wishing to get them drenched. The light was changing yet again. By the time I reached the ridge overlooking the valley, the sky above me was suffused with a pale, silvery radiance. The bleak gray remnants of the night were finally obliterated. Sitting down on the wrought-iron seat under the apple tree, I leaned back and relaxed. I love this time of day, just before the world awakens, when everything is so quiet, so still. I might be the only person alive on this planet. I closed my eyes momentarily, listening. There was no sound of any kind. Nothing stirred. Not a leaf nor a blade of grass moved. The birds were silent, sleeping soundly in the trees, and the stillness around me was like a balm. As I sat there, drifting, thinking of nothing in particular, my anxiety about Andrew began slowly to slip away. I knew with absolute certainty that everything would be all right once he arrived and we made up. It always was whenever there'd been a bit of friction between us. There was no reason why this time should be different. One of the marvelous things about Andrew is his ability to put events of today and yesterday behind him, to look forward to tomorrow. It wasn't in his nature to harbor a grudge. He was far too big a man for that. Consequently, he quickly forgot our small, frequently silly quarrels and differences of opinion. We're much alike in that, he and I. Fortunately, we both have the ability to move forward optimistically. I've been married to Andrew Keswick for 10 years now. In fact, next week, on the 12th of July, we'll be celebrating our wedding anniversary. We met in 1978, when I was 23 years old, and he was 31. It was one of those proverbial whirlwind romances, except that ours, fortunately, didn't fizzle out, as so many do. Our relationship just grew better and better as time went on. That he swept me off my feet is a gross understatement. I fell blindly, madly, irrevocably in love with him. And he with me, as I was eventually to discover. Andrew, who was English, had been living in New York for 7 years when we met. He was considered to be one of the boy wonders of Madison Avenue, one of those naturals in the advertising business who can make an agency not only fabulously successful, but incredibly famous as well, attracting a flock of prestigious multinational clients. I worked in the copy department of the same agency, Blau, Ames, Braddock, and Susskind. And at the time, despite my lowly position, I rather fancied myself a writer of slick but convincing advertising copy. Andrew Keswick seemed to agree. If his compliments about my work went to my head, then he himself went straight to my heart. Of course, I was very young then, and even though I was a graduate of Radcliffe, I think I was most probably rather naive for my educational background, age, and upbringing. I was a slow starter, I suppose. In any event, Andrew captivated me entirely. Despite his brilliance and his standing on Madison Avenue, I soon came to realize that he wasn't in the least bit egotistical. Quite the opposite, in fact. He was unassuming, even modest for a man of his considerable talents. Also, he had a great sense of fun and a dry humor, which was often rather self-deprecating. To me, he was a dashing and sophisticated figure, and his very Englishness, as well as his mellifluous, cultivated voice, set him apart. Medium of height and build, he had pleasant,